everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode for the Filipino Australian Lawyers Association. And thank you, Alan, for joining us for today's podcast episode. Before going into it, could you share us more of your background, your school background, and your motivations to practicing law? Yeah.
All right. So first and foremost, my background really is a banker, right? So I've worked back home in the Philippines for around 10 years in different banks. And then when we migrated here in Australia in 2006, I was lucky enough to be part of was accepted to be part of Westpac. Uh,
Mm.
and I've been there since then. So I've been with Westpac for around 18 years now, thereabouts.
Mm.
Okay. And as a banker, basically, I've worked in the other side of banking, which is lending.
Mhm.
Then came a point wherein, all right, so what am I doing here? I would go to the office, do my job, go home at 5, pick up my kids, and then cook dinner and watch TV after that.
Mhm.
So it came to a point wherein I would ask myself, all right, is this the life that I'm going to live, right?
Mhm.
So I told my wife, look, you've finished your CPA, you've done what you're supposed to. Can I go back to school?
Mhm.
And she said, look, be realistic. The last time you were at school was an MBA in Ateneo back home. And I finished my MBA back in the year 2000.
Mhm.
So she said, look, it's around 15 years and you want to go back to school again. I said, yeah, look, I'd apply. I'm not sure whether I'd be accepted. So it's just I'll just try.
Mhm.
And lucky enough, Vic Uni accepted my application. In 2015, I started going back to school,
Mhm.
attending law school.
Mhm.
Now, I finished economics back home in
Mhm.
UP Los Baños, and then went through my master's in business administration in Ateneo. Not even thinking of even attempting to take up law,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It just happens that, look, that's the school that accepted me. That's the college that gave me an opportunity to go back to school. So I said, yeah, why not?
Mhm.
So I ended up being a mature age student,
Mhm. Mhm.
a part-time student with a full-time job, because I could not, I was still holding on to my role in Westpac,
Mhm. Mhm.
a full-time banker. So I would go to work in the morning till the afternoon for the whole 8 hours, and then attend class from 6 to 9 p.m.
Mhm.
And the thing there is that the I only took 2 subjects per term.
Mhm.
The full load was four
Mhm.
four subjects, right? So I said to myself, look, I'm not in a hurry,
Mhm.
you know. So I'll just take 2 subjects at a time, so as not to stress myself out too much,
Mhm.
because I would be, a mature age student with,
Yep.
no background whatsoever in the legal community. I was able to finish law school in 5 years.
Mhm.
Um, and after finishing law school, I had no idea what I'm going to do, because that's law school's law school,
Mhm.
different from reality. So I said, all right, let me try out PLT then. So
Mhm.
tried out with Leo's, again online, because of my limitation. So
Mhm.
yeah. And the good thing about PLT is I learned how to become a lawyer. Yeah, so I was able to finish PLT, thinking that, hey, look, I'm already here. Why not? I finished law school. I
Mhm.
finished PLT.
Mhm.
Well, might as well
Apply
go
it.
all the way.
Mm,
Exactly,
mm,
and get admitted. So yeah, that was scary because getting admitted is really scary. But eventually I was able to put up everything, and I was admitted to become an Australian legal practitioner in
mhm,
2019.
mm, mm,
For me, thinking of, do I practice? Do I apply for a practicing certificate?
mm,
That was the next question. Or will I just use my background in another way, right? But reality is, as an economist, I am an economist. If I would be applying as a lawyer
mm,
outside, I'll be applying as a new lawyer, as a newbie,
mm,
and therefore I would have to take certain cuts from my current salary
mm.
because of
Ah,
I've been in the bank for quite
mm,
some time
mm,
already,
mm,
right? So I told myself, look, maybe that's not me. Might as well. At least I'm already a lawyer, so that's it. If I want to practice, then so be it. But there's no opportunity for me to practice currently,
mhm,
so I just put it aside. Happy to have the certificate of the Supreme Court. Yes, good. I'm a lawyer. That's it.
mhm,
And after around maybe around a year and a half, a friend of mine, she said, you know, my friend said, look, my firm's a migration firm,
mhm,
and and Filipinos are coming in asking us if we could help them in convincing, in their wills, in their contract reviews, and so on and so forth, commercial stuff, which he could not help. He could not extend his help. So he said, do you want to work for me?
mm,
I said, you sure. Why not? But I can only work for you on a part-time basis
mm,
because I still cannot leave my work with Vespa.
mm,
He said, that's fine because I can only pay you part-time anyway.
mhm,
So it worked. It worked out for me. So I got my practicing certificate, and now I'm working during the day as a banker in
mhm,
Westpac, and then after work, I don my lawyer's hat and do practice property, family, and commercial law on the
mhm,
side.
mhm,
That would be during in the afternoons and during weekends most often than not.
mm, mm, mm,
And it's always good to have somebody who can speak the same language as you, explaining the contract of sale. What's
mm,
this contract of sale? What does it say?
mm,
What are the responsibilities? So what I do is, as part of my service, is I explain these contracts to them in Filipino
mm,
so that they'll be able to understand what is this contract that they're getting into,
mm,
right? And at the same time, since I've got a finance background, I'm also able to help them out in terms of understanding their loan documents when they apply for a loan in order to purchase their property.
mhm.
So I'm able to explain to them, what guarantees are, what does it mean, what are the responsibilities in our own language.
From your experiences, po, could you share us more about legal insights that would people would be gladly to be more aware of in terms of property or from your experiences in your work? That
Well,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So first things first, right?
Mm,
When you're buying property and you will be applying for finance in order to help you finance that purchase of property, you have to make sure that you have the correct approval, you've got the correct amount,
mm,
and that particular finance will be ready upon settlement date. Because when you buy property, obviously the contract will say, all right, we will settle on this date.
mm,
So you have to make sure that your finance would be ready by that time,
mm, mm, mm,
right? And unfortunately, the lawyers are not able to help you out because this is finance. This is
mm,
your role, right? As a purchaser, and you deal with that with your broker, right? So you make sure that you have to make sure that the finance is there. and
Mhm.
that you have to be aware of all these deadlines.
Mhm.
When's his settlement? When is, because they're parts of the contract of sale. They're saying this is on condition of finance approval, and
Mhm.
then there's a date there when you should be able to get your approval by. So
Mhm.
you have to be aware of that your approval should be there, or otherwise your contract will be unconditional and you'll be locked into that contract even
Mhm.
if you don't get your finance.
So work setting niyo po, of course, sabi niyo po you work with mostly Filipinos as your clientele.
Yes.
Do you still experience certain culture shocks or culture experiences working with Filipinos in Australia, or it's okay
So
po?
when you go into Filipinos, right?
Mhm.
With when you meet with Filipinos, you have to be more what I call more sensitive,
Mm.
because they tend to expect a lot. So you have to know, you have to set boundaries.
Mm.
In like for example, um, you try to help this person out, this client out,
Mhm.
um, and then they'd say, all right, and because you're just trying to help out, you won't charge them that much, right?
Mhm.
But you have to tell them, look, that's me,
Mhm.
right? Don't expect the same thing from other
Other
lawyers,
mm, mm,
okay? Because that's not how other lawyers will be dealing
mm,
with you.
mhm,
So you have to be honest, you have to be open to them on that
mhm,
point too.
mhm.
Because they would be set, because you would be set as a bar for them, as a
Yeah.
standard,
A
right?
president.
And exactly, and you won't like that if that happens to you on the other side, that you
Mhm.
come in and a client would come in and say, like, but he charged me
Yes.
just this much,
Yeah.
right? So they have to be upfront and
Mm,
sensitive with them too.
mhm,
But one thing I like about our culture, right? Especially in the property in the property space, right? So you help out this client, and they were able to buy their first home.
mhm.
Yes. And as Filipinos, we always have, housewarming, house blessing. And you get invited to that house blessing, right? So
Mhm.
you go in and you go into that house blessing, and when you come in, they would usually most often than not would say, guys, here's the lawyer that helped me out to buy this
Mm,
property. So, if
mm,
you need anything, go and,
mhm,
and get in touch with him. So
mhm,
that's word of mouth. That's
mhm,
gold.
mhm,
That's gold in marketing.
mhm. As a final note po, do you have any invitation to any events that are coming up or initiatives that you have that you want people to join in?
Well, obviously, I'd like to invite everyone who's watching. If you're part of the legal profession, join FALAW, right? Sign up. Okay,
Mhm,
sign up.
mhm,
That's one. And
mhm,
currently, we're having the tie up with the Law Week this May.
mhm,
So it's one of those activities to look forward to. And also look, for those people who are still thinking of how to get in touch with us. Fallow's got a website. Just jump into the website or contact us. Contact Diane, contact myself. Send us an email, and we'll be happy to accommodate you and answer your questions. And who knows, may be able to be part of Palau and be able to help and serve the community with us.
mhm. Yeah. Thank you po, Alan, for sharing your
Kita,
journey with us and being
maraming
part of this
salamat.
podcast. Thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you po.
See ya.